Ogadima is the twins' fourth birthday on Saturday, and I know they would love for you to be there. Can you make it? It's actually a small affair though, Onochie told Ogadima over the phone on Tuesday. Oh, really? I would love to come, but I might come a bit late as I will be on duty that day, she replied. He then said he would speak with the manager to give her a free day. Ogadima, however, refused, saying she rather would swap with someone or ask for permission to close earlier. Ogadima smiled as she thought of the twins. These days, they visit the showroom at the head office more often and always ensure that they stop by our floor to see her. She had moved to the head office for her 1-year compulsory National Youth Service. That's a nice smile. What are you thinking about? Her mother asked. It's my boss. His children's birthday is this Saturday and he wants me to come and surprise them. Your boss, Mr. Nwachukwu? Her mother asked in amazement. Do you have another boss or is anything wrong? Nothing. But is he not married? Mama, of course he is married. If not, how would he have children? Madam, take it easy. I was only curious with the way you seem to always have something to say about him and his children. Her mother replied. Here, I work in his company, so I must have something to say about him. Moreover, his children love to check on me when they come to the office. You need to see how they both jostle to hug me. You will think they don't get enough of it from their parents, she said with a smile. Just be careful, so that when you have to leave there after your youth service, you won't break the hearts of those little children or even yours, her mother advised. Yes, ma, Ogadima said. The house had suddenly become lonely now that Zarachi had married and Uzoma had gone to the university. It was just her and Mama. Ogadima looked around the Katape extension area as she tried to locate the address that her boss had given her. She had never been to this area of the city. The landscape was beautiful, and there were a lot of nice-looking houses. She was finally able to locate a detached duplex. My boss must be a rich man, she thought as she pressed the doorbell at the gate. The ferocious barking of dogs momentarily threw her aback, and her heartbeat tripled in rhythm. It was almost as if they were right at the gate and ready to bounce on her. She stood far away, almost in the middle of the road. The gate was slightly opened by a uniformed gateman who inquired who she was, and when she told him her name, he opened the gate wider and asked her to come in. Please, what of the dogs? She asked fearfully. Auntie, don't worry, they are in the cage. She cautiously entered the premises and he led her towards a door on the balcony. She didn't want to imagine the face of her mother and sisters when they hear that something actually frightens their fearless daughter and sister. The way she hated dogs, one would think there was more to it. She knocked on the door, but the gateman told her to just push the door and go in. She entered a hallway, was almost as big as a sitting room at home. She stood dumbstruck, staring at the huge light fittings. She looked around at the several doors which opened into the hallway. She was confused as well as awestruck. Confused as to where she was to go, awestruck at the opulence of the house. Hello, she called out severally as she walked down the hallway. She was about to take her phone and call when she heard footsteps descend the staircase. She turned around at the sound of feet as it got nearer. Mr. Nwachukwu stood still when he saw her. Ogadima, you are here, he asked in surprise, looking at the main door. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. The gateman told me to come in, but I wasn't sure which door to use, she said politely. I'm sorry about that. You should have called to inform me, even though I told him that I was expecting you. Sorry about that once again. You are welcome, he said as he advanced towards her. Let's go to the main sitting room. The children are there. He saw how Ogadima's face lit up at the mention of the twins. Your house is beautiful, sir. Thank you, he replied humbly. When they got to the door, he asked her to wait while he peps them up for the surprise. He left the door ajar. D2, he called them the short form he used for both of them when he doesn't want to call both names. They both turned towards him. So there's someone who is here to see you. Are you ready for the surprise? The children started upping and asking who it was. Please, you may come in now, Onochie announced. Ogadinma, who had changed from her uniform at work into a blue knee-length gown, canvas shoes, stepped into the room. The children gave a happy shout when they saw her. They ran into her hands as she quickly bent to their level. Her face became radiated with joy as she embraced them and lifted both of them in her arms. Easy, you don't want to sprain your back, her boss calmly warned. She smiled at him and said it was fine. After the hugs, she put them down and opened her bag. She brought out two wrapped gifts. Daniel, this is for you, and Deborah, this is for you, she said, sharing. The children soon returned to their friends. Please sit down, Ogadinma, her boss told her, pointing to one of the beautiful chairs in the sitting room. Ogadinma wanted to ask to see his wife when a family of four came into the room, and Mr. Nwachukwu quickly excused himself to welcome his new guest. Ogadinma sat down in a single chair in the big, nice-looking sitting room. The children were having a swell time in the area of the sitting room that had been cleared and turned to a stage. There was a guy who was coordinating the games for the children. Mr. Nwachukwu stood, smiling at the children's antics as they danced around the chairs. Just then, a lady came in from another room. She went to him, touched his arm, and whispered to his ear. He nodded and she turned back to go the way she had come. That's probably his wife, Ogadinma thought. Soon after the lady left, two servers started bringing in trays of food and arranging them on a table placed by a wall in the sitting room. Ogadinma stood up, walked to her boss, and politely asked where the food was coming from so she could join in serving. Why? He asked in surprise. Please go and sit down. You're a guest, the twins' guest, he said, pointing back to her seat. They were asked to proceed to the table where a buffet was set up and everyone was to take what they wished to eat. Ogadinma was glad that she didn't know how wealthy Mr. Nwachukwu was. If she knew, she wouldn't have come or brought books as gifts for the children. Some of the guests had come with very expensive gifts that left Ogadinma wowed. She was part of the first set of people who left the party after the cutting of the cakes and the picture sections. The twins were too preoccupied with their birthday activities to notice when she left. Mr. Nwachukwu thanked her and even offered her transport fare, which she politely turned down. He, however, asked that one of his friends, who was also leaving at the same time, give her a ride to the major bus stop. The twins had become a regular visitor at the showroom, especially on Saturdays, and they would often seek her out once they arrived. She sometimes wondered how she had grown so fond of them. You know, Mama, I won't marry you, but I will have children, at least 3 children, she told her mom one evening after work. Her mother looked at her in total shock. Not marry, but have children. How now? I will adopt. I will love them. Oh, children are just so cute and lovable, she said passionately. Her mother sneered. Oh, because of your boss children, you assume they will always be cute and lovable. Remember that children often grow to become their own persons, who may be headstrong and willful, just like Ogadinma. Mama, am I not lovable? Tell the truth. The others are not here. It's only you and I that are at home. Who is your favorite amongst all of us? I don't have a favorite amongst my children. I love you all because I have the heart of a mother. A mother's love never divides. It just keeps multiplying and keeps giving out more love, Mrs. Okoro replied. Ogadinma muttered. We all know you love Zarachi more. Maybe because she is dutiful and quieter. No, I don't, their mother replied. You do. You even asked her to stay alone in the room when she was still at home, while the 3 of us shared a room, Ogadinma insisted. Each one of you is unique, and I love you all. I relate with you according to your strengths and weaknesses. Zarachi, like you said, is dutiful and gave all. I mean everything she had for the comfort of this family. She worked for this family. Don't you think someone like that should have a little comfort in life? I couldn't give her much, but at least I could ask that she had a room to herself, Mrs. Okoro explained. Ogadinma nodded in agreement. So how do you relate with my own weakness and strength, Mama? she asked with an eager smile. By living with you. Oh, Mama, Ogadima yelled playfully. Mrs. Okoro laughed. Well, it's true. You can try the patience of a saint, Mrs. Okoro replied. Okay, oh, I'm sure you will do your massage by yourself tonight. You don't even mention how I'm the best massage amongst your children, Ogadima said grumpily. By massage, will you mean body massager? Now you sabi, just get the ointment and come and massage my body. My daughter with the lion's heart, one woman battalion. Obi Kenwanyi, Asa, beautiful woman. See how beautiful you are. Any man that marries you will be lucky. Her mother started praising her. I am not getting married, oh, Ogadima quickly interjected. But why now? Don't you see how Zarachi is so happy in her marriage? Her mother said. Zarachi has only been married for 3 months or so, but she is happy. And her family is a member of this family now. Her mother insisted. I only want to make money, Mama. Hey go, plenty of money. I will take you around the world, build a house for you, and get you a maid. Then I will adopt 2 or 3 children, and we will live happily ever after, she said wishfully. Let God's will be done, Mama replied, as Ogadima gently rubbed ointment on the ankle of her injured leg. Chapter 3. They had formed a committee on rebranding Honors Electronics, and Ogadima was one of the members of the committee. She was excited, and most nights before she slept, she would browse or watch videos on topics relating to rebranding on her phone, noting and writing down all she found relevant. Their first meeting had the chairman, Mr. Nwachukwu, the general manager, the branch manager where Ogadima had first worked, the admin manager, and 2 other staff from the marketing units, and Ogadima in attendance. They had deliberated, and everyone had contributed immensely. Ogadima had contributed generously. The others had loved her contributions. It was agreed that they get a company that was into corporate branding to help fine-tune the ideas discussed. After the meeting, a senior staff member, Mr. George, smiled warmly at her. I must say that you have some brilliant ideas. Ogadima smiled and thanked him in return before excusing herself. Later that day, on his way out, Mr. Nwachukwu stopped at her floor. That was some great insight you brought to the table this morning. Ogadima had beamed at him and thanked him also. You almost sounded like a graduate of business administration, he added. I am not. I did a lot of reading and online research to learn more about branding, she informed him. That's good. I'm impressed, he added before walking off. But why is he so interested in you? Interested in me? Also, Ogadima, who had related what transpired at work to her mom, asked in surprise. I don't know, but I just feel he seems to be too involved with you. I don't know, but something. When did a boss praising his staff turn out to be too involved? Here, Ogadima interrupted Mama theatrically. You said he had applauded your contributions during the meeting, but he still sought you out to praise you again. Okay, oh, Mrs. Okoro said in resignation. I don't even understand your at times, Mama. If the man was not married now, maybe you would have said you had something in mind. Mama, Biko, use your church mind to look at this, Ogadima said. Mrs. Okoro laughed. It's only church mind that I even have. I don't have any other mind. Ogadima, sit for a moment, please, Mr. Nwachukwu said. Ogadima, who had become skeptical after a discussion with her mom about her boss' special interest in her, turned back but remained standing. I just want to thank you for all you do for the twins. They said you helped them with their own work on Saturday. Oh, that's nothing, sir, she replied, gently swinging the file she had come to collect from him. It means a lot to them and me. Thank you, Ogadima, he replied. You are welcome, sir. It seems you like children a lot, he blurted out. Ogadima looked cautiously at him. Yes, I do love children, and I believe everyone does, she said. Well, not everyone does. So does that mean marriage is the next step after your youth service? Marriage? She asked incredulously, looking around as if searching for who he was referring to. Yes, I assume that since you love children, you will probably want to start a family soon, he added cautiously. I love children and will want to have some one day, but I won't be getting married, she said decisively. Mr. Wachuku visibly shifted on his seat. Why is that, if I may ask? Let's just say I believe that marriage is overrated. Who needs the headache when I can have all I need without a man? The silence in the room was so thick that a knife could slice through. I'm lost here, but I believe you know what you want, he said philosophically, breaking the silence. Yes, I do, she said unapologetically. May I leave now, sir? She asked. Yes, please, he replied. Onochie stood in front of Daniel's room, the door ajar. He had been to Deborah's room first. He sighed heavily as he thought of the burdens he had to bear. He loved his children, and they meant the world to him, but he wished things were different. As he stood lightly against his son's door, he thought about his conversation earlier in the day with Ogadinma. Sighing again, he looked at the ceiling. God, she says she's not getting married. Oga, I want to leave. What do you mean by that? Onochie asked in disbelief. I want to go back to the east and start my own business. Also, my boyfriend and I want to marry soon, Obi said. The food in Onochie's mouth suddenly turned dust. But what about the twins? Who will take care of them? He yelled in an uncharacteristic outburst. I will stay for an additional 1 month for you to get someone, she said, unperturbed. Onochie breathed slowly as he tried to rein in his emotions. I will increase your salary, he said. Mba, Oga, she clapping her hands. It's not about money. My man is not happy that I've been in Abuja for over a year without seeing him. I want to go and start my own family, she reiterated. Onochie felt like he was back in that dark place again, where the world seemed to close up on him. He had to make a conscious effort to breathe slowly to clear his head. How will he manage the twins without any help? Was his world crumbling again? Lord, not again, he whispered under his breath. When the storms of life are raging, stand by me. When my peace seems to be snatched away, stand by me. Lord, ruler of all, holder of all, stand by me. The song had carried him through the darkest time of his life. He suddenly felt a bit of relief as it dropped in his heart. He hesitated again. Obi, I have heard. I will start looking for a replacement. Wish you well in your future endeavors, Onochie said before rising from the dining table, leaving his food almost untouched. As he sat on the balcony in his room, he prayed and reflected on all that had happened that day. Life was indeed too complex, overwhelmingly so, Onochie thought. One lady didn't want to marry, while another was willing to leave the city and move back to the village to marry. Lord, teach me each day to apply my heart to wisdom on how to relate and manage people. Onochie knew he was ready to fly off the handle. When it will happen, he didn't know. He just wasn't sure how long he could hold up. Obi had left 2 weeks earlier than she promised, saying her mother suddenly took ill and she was needed back in the village urgently. As if she is the doctor who would treat her, Onochie muttered in annoyance as he reflected on the incident. Now he had to bathe, dress, feed and take his children to school. He was also the one who now picked them up. He had interviewed some nannies, but it was either he wasn't comfortable with them or they had an issue working with the twins. He was also skeptical about entrusting his children to some random strangers, especially when the nannies would be living with them. Deborah, get inside the car, he yelled at his daughter, who was playfully stalking. Deborah's lips trembled badly. Daddy, why are you angry? She asked. Sorry, she whispered, waving her small hand in a teary apology. Onochie groaned. He leaned into the car and hugged her. Deborah, I am not angry at you. I'm just tired, he said, looking at her. You are tired. Will you sleep? She asked with a childlike concern. Onochie smiled at the love and concern on her face. Sorry, Daddy. I will give you Alex, Daniel said, referring to his fluffy dog Teddy. Alex will make you sleep, he added. Onochie's smile became a full-blown laughter at his children's concern. He hugged them in turns and then got into the car to drive them to work. They had needed his driver to drive one of the company's delivery vans, so he had driven himself to his children's school to pick them up. He needed to go back to work as he was expecting some business partners in the office that afternoon. Back at the office, Ogadinma wondered why the boss was always bringing his children to work almost every day now. Maybe their mother traveled, she thought. As she was about to close for work that day, Mr. Nwachukwu had entered with the twins, and they had stayed with her till their dad finished his meeting. She had assisted them with their own work and had gotten them food when they complained of hunger. For the opting time that day, she had seen her boss very upset. She offered to refund the money she used in buying food for the twins, but she had refused. Mr. Nwachukwu had become so upset that he angrily dropped the money on her table. It was as if he was on a short fuse these days. His easy laugh had been replaced by a regular frown. Ogadinma prayed that his wife returns early.